Your one click on the subscribe button makes a huge difference. Thank you for your kind support.
Episode 2 of A Tragedy Foretold, Flight 3054 builds deeply upon the foundation laid by the first episode, delving into the socio-political, technical, and human factors that culminated in Brazil's most devastating aviation disaster. The series meticulously recounts the events surrounding the 2007 crash of TAM Airlines Flight 3054, the subsequent investigations, and the lasting impact on aviation safety. Episode 2 is particularly notable for its deep dives into personal accounts, systemic failings, and a chilling sense of inevitability that underscores the tragedy. Below, we break down the episode, analyzing the intricate storytelling choices and drawing connections to the broader themes. #### plot summary. The episode opens with a haunting blend of archival footage and dramatized scenes depicting the hours leading up to the crash. Passengers are seen boarding the Airbus A320 with a mix of emotions. Some are weary business travelers, while others are families eager to reunite with loved ones. These small glimpses into the passengers' lives humanize the tragedy, transforming the victims into individuals rather than just statistics. This opening montage is interspersed with shots of the control tower at Sao Paulo's Congonhas Airport, setting up the tension and depicting the unfolding operational challenges. Attention shifts to the technical state of the Airbus A320 aircraft. Through interviews with aviation experts and dramatizations of maintenance logs, the episode reveals that one of the aircraft's thrust reversers, devices that help slow down the plane upon landing, was inoperative. Though this was legal within aviation safety guidelines when other braking systems were functional, the episode underscores how this seemingly minor issue would become a deadly factor when combined with other systemic problems. This portrayal captures one of the series' central themes: how small errors, when coupled with larger systemic shortcomings, can snowball into catastrophic outcomes. The Congonhas Airport itself becomes a key character in the narrative. Known for its short runways and location in the heart of Sao Paulo's urban sprawl, the airport's role in the disaster is explored in depth. Episode 2 highlights how heavy rainfall earlier that day led to dangerously slick runway conditions. Through ominous overlays of data and expert analysis, the episode emphasizes that the runway, according to safety protocols, should not have been operational without grooves to help drain water and provide friction for landing aircraft. The absence of these grooves, a decision attributed to delays and lapses in infrastructure upgrades, exemplifies institutional negligence. As Flight 3054 approaches Congonhas for landing, tension mounts. The series effectively uses a combination of in-cockpit recordings and dramatized reenactments to depict the moments before the crash. The voices of the pilots, Captain Kleber Lima and First Officer Enrique Stefanini di Sacco, reflect both professionalism and eventual panic as they struggle to control the landing. The episode reveals a critical mechanical error: the throttle lever controlling the engines was misconfigured. While one engine was set to idle, as required during landing, the other remained in climb mode, effectively pushing the aircraft forward instead of allowing it to slow. When the airplane's wheels made contact with the slick runway, the braking systems proved inadequate to compensate for the thrust from the misconfigured engine. The series vividly recreates the moments when the pilots realized the severity of the situation. Their efforts to halt the aircraft fail, and the plane skids off the runway at high speed, careening into a nearby TAM Express warehouse and a gas station. The impact results in a fiery explosion, killing all 187 passengers and crew on board, as well as 12 people on the ground. The dramatized depiction of the crash is harrowing, with haunting silence following the explosion to emphasize the magnitude of the loss. ### character analysis. While much of the focus remains on the technical and systemic factors, Episode 2 dedicates significant time to individual stories. For instance, it portrays Captain Kleber Lima as a seasoned pilot with extensive experience, highlighting his professionalism and dedication in the face of an impossible situation. His interactions with First Officer Enrique Stefanini di Sacco exhibit a strong partnership, yet also a reflection of how even the most skilled individuals cannot overcome poorly designed systems and cascading technical issues. The humanity of their final moments underscores the tragedy of their plight. They were not only victims of the crash but also scapegoated by media speculation in the immediate aftermath. The series also spotlights the passengers, providing glimpses into their lives through dramatized flashbacks and interviews with surviving family members. These vignettes are emotionally charged, painting a vivid picture of the loss felt by their loved ones. One particularly poignant subplot focuses on a mother and child who had been traveling to Sao Paulo to reunite with her husband. This story is woven throughout the episode, serving as a microcosm of the broader grief experienced by all affected families. The episode also explores the perspectives of ground personnel, such as air traffic controllers and airport staff, who were helpless witnesses to the disaster. Their interviews provide insight into the collective trauma experienced by those working behind the scenes of aviation, juxtaposing their anguish with scenes of political leaders deflecting blame during press conferences. ### thematic exploration. One of the most striking themes in Episode 2 is the notion of institutional complacency. The series makes it abundantly clear that the tragedy was not the result of a single error but rather a culmination of systemic failures across multiple levels of aviation safety, infrastructure planning, and regulatory oversight. The episode critiques the Brazilian government and aviation authorities for their delayed implementation of critical safety measures, such as runway grooving, despite repeated warnings from industry experts about the risks posed by Congonhas Airport's deteriorating conditions. Another significant theme is the human cost of negligence. Through intimate portrayals of the victims and their families, the series emphasizes that the crash was not an abstract accident, but a deeply personal loss for hundreds of people. This emotional focus ensures that the audience remains acutely aware of the tragedy's scale, transforming statistical figures into profoundly felt human stories. The narrative also explores the tension between technological advancement and human error. Advanced aviation technology is often seen as a safeguard against disaster, yet in this case, the combination of mechanical failure and poor communication between regulatory bodies and airport officials undermine those safeguards. This tension is visually represented through recurring imagery of sleek aircraft against the backdrop of Sao Paulo's chaotic urban landscape, a metaphor for the clash between modernity and systemic dysfunction. ### cinematic techniques and symbolism. The series employs several cinematic techniques to heighten the sense of inevitability and forewarning. The use of tight, claustrophobic camera angles during cockpit scenes conveys the mounting pressure faced by the pilots. In contrast, sweeping aerial shots of Congonhas Airport and the Sao Paulo skyline emphasize the interconnectedness of the city's infrastructure and the potential for disaster when things go wrong. Symbolism is also heavily employed throughout the episode. The rain-soaked runway becomes a recurring visual motif, representing both the natural unpredictability of weather and the human failure to prepare for it. Similarly, the juxtaposition of smiling passenger faces in pre-flight scenes with the devastation of the crash creates a stark reminder of the fragility of life. Foreshadowing plays a critical role in building tension. Early in the episode, interviews with aviation experts hint at the dangers of operating aircraft on slick runways. Additionally, interactions between airport staff reveal a culture of frustration and resigned acceptance regarding bureaucratic inefficiencies, subtly indicating that disaster was only a matter of time. ### The ending explained. The episode concludes with a sobering depiction of the post-crash investigation. Brazilian authorities work alongside international aviation experts to piece together the events leading to the disaster. The discovery of the throttle misconfiguration serves as a pivotal moment, but the series is careful to illustrate how this was merely the final link in a long chain of failures. Interviews with investigators reveal a sense of frustration at the many missed opportunities to prevent the tragedy, including repeated warnings about the Congonhas runway's safety. In the closing scenes, families of the victims are shown attending memorials, their grief compounded by a lack of accountability from government officials and TAM Airlines executives. The series ends on an emotionally charged note, emphasizing the far-reaching consequences of the crash, not only the loss of lives but also the erosion of public trust in Brazil's aviation system. A text overlay informs viewers about the eventual safety reforms implemented in the wake of the tragedy, including stricter regulations for runway maintenance and enhanced pilot training protocols. However, the bittersweet conclusion underscores that these reforms came at an unimaginable cost. ##### fan theories and alternate interpretations. While the series presents a detailed and fact-based account of the crash, some viewers have speculated about alternate interpretations. One prevalent theory suggests that the blame attributed to the misconfigured throttle lever may overly simplify the sequence of events. Critics argue that systemic issues, such as inadequate training on handling mechanical anomalies, deserved even greater scrutiny. Others point to the possibility of miscommunication between the cockpit and air traffic control, hypothesizing that procedural breakdowns may have played a larger role than depicted. Another fan theory delves into the symbolic implications of the crash, positing that the disaster serves as a broader metaphor for the challenges Brazil faced during a period of rapid economic growth. Just as the aviation industry struggled to modernize infrastructure to match increasing demand, the country at large grappled with balancing progress and deep-seated systemic flaws. #### Conclusion. Episode 2 of A Tragedy Foretold, Flight 3054 masterfully balances technical detail with emotional resonance, offering viewers a comprehensive understanding of the 2007 Congonhas crash. Through its intricate storytelling, the series not only sheds light on a preventable tragedy but also serves as a powerful call for accountability and systemic reform. By humanizing the victims and unpacking the structural issues that led to the disaster, the episode ensures that their stories will not be forgotten, even as the aviation industry continues to learn from their loss.